What is up, Gear Squad? Chaingear here, bringing you another video, and today we are back with a brand new review. I recognize that this game hadn't been reviewed much, and I figured I liked the game, I enjoy it, and so I brought my friend here, I'm Taxi, better known as Anthony. We both played this awesome game called Moon Hunters. It's got its pros, it's got its cons. There are definitely some really awesome pieces to it. There are definitely some flaws that could be addressed. And so that's what we're here to do today. So you got some gameplay in the background. Enjoy that. Let's give it a quick synopsis. Personally, I think the best way to explain the game is a top-down action RPG, procedurally generated. There's not like an equipment system, but there is a stat system. Mm-hmm. The stats are built through story progression, which is also procedural, and choices that you make in the game, and mostly. And then there's some. Then there's also like a not an economy, but there's a system of you get money or currency
upgrades. Yeah,
and you buy upgrades for your skills. So let's say if you play as kind of like the main warrior. She has like a lance pike thing, and basically her normal move when you press square is to stab. Then you can upgrade that stab, with three it stabs 3 different ways or something like that. So a lot of different abilities for each character has 4 different major abilities, and you can stack on different upgrades for them. But basically, the point of the game is to beat it without spoiling it. There's an ending, and basically you have 5 days?
Yep.
5 days to beat the game. And there are multiple different endings, and the game, though it's procedural, it also is continuous. So when the game ends, you replay the story, but it's almost like the story just starts over. So whatever happened in the last game, kind of stays, but at the same time,
you can have some effects. On what happens the next time.
Right, but it's not like a story. It's not like a time thing. It's not like when you beat the boss or something. That boss has a child and you fight his child. You're fighting the same exact boss, but it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Kind of like I don't know if you've played any roguelite games or roguelike games. It's not a roguelike game, but it's like that in the sense that when you beat the whole game, it has effects later on the next time. You're stuck from the beginning. Like
Binding of Isaac, for example?
Yes.
New characters and things like that? Yeah, so there's 6 classes, 6 different characters. They all come from different places within the game. We only have 5 of them. And so we're trying to figure out how to unlock the 6th one. And I think this is the most interesting part of the game is that no one really knows how to beat it correctly. We've beaten it one time and got an interesting ending, but it wasn't you win. It was more this was a good ending, but something's still missing. And then we beat the boss another time, and it was everyone loses, and that seems to be the most common one. And so we're trying to learn more and more about it, but
which is part of the game. Is the more times you play, the more you learn.
And
what's going on.
It's a short game. You can beat it with less than an hour. So this gameplay that you guys are watching now, obviously it's only a fraction of the gameplay, but there's a world map, and you spawn in an area. You pick where you want to basically say you grew up, and then you spawn there. And it's a 4-player couch co-op. There is no online co-op. A lot of people are upset about that, but it's 4-player couch co-op. So if you've got some family or some friends, you can also play it single player. Though I can see it being kind of difficult.
Yep.
Yeah, even 2-player, depending on your team composition, the 2 people you pick, can be difficult.
I mean, the first time we played as just us 2, it's not in this footage, but it was a guy that can actually damage himself and
his allies. Yeah. So that was pretty difficult.
And then I was a melee guy, so he would just throw down some fire, and I would just be sitting in, and I was oh, okay, I guess I'm going to attack the enemies and die at the same time.
Yeah. So, but it's pretty fun. I think we both really like it. I think it's akin to things to some degree, Diablo, I guess. That kind of top down. It's even more top down than Diablo is, though. But yeah, it's just kind of that action RPG, but these short instances. So you beat the game in an hour, and then you're like, oh, that was interesting. Like, let's try and do it this way. And like you start to remember things that you did. Like we played the game when I first got it for quite a while, probably like 4 or 5 hours, maybe 3 4 hours. Yeah. And then we stopped for like a whole week basically. And then we jumped back in, and we remembered a lot of the different situations that we went through. I think he remembered more than I did. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy it. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons. We'll start off with you. What were some of the things you really, really like about the game?
The gameplay's solid. Like the action and everything is solid. No, the stat system is interesting and it's unique. And I always love procedural generation, like No Man's Sky. I've been playing recently. It's got I have a lot of interest in that, and it allows for a lot of replayability. If you like the base of the game as it is, yeah, you could definitely replay it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, the music and art style is also, it's good.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the art style is really cool. It's like kind of like pixelated, like in the, not even really, but like it's some sort of kind of pixelation for the normal gameplay. But like when you talk to somebody and interact with them, it's like a nice like portrait of who they are, which is kind of your classic RPG. But the gameplay is a lot more fun than at least for me. I like action RPGs. I don't like turn-based stuff unless it's like grid-based. So if it's either strategy, like really hardcore strategy, or action-based. I don't like the in-between stuff. It's like a lot of the Final Fantasies have turned me off recently. But yeah, like, I thought it was a lot of fun. The visuals were awesome. The music is good. I don't think it's great, but I think it's good. Yeah. I don't complain about it. I found myself, I was just humming it a little like just now. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. But the story is actually like, I think that's the thing that draws me the most. Like, I wouldn't keep replaying it if it was just the gameplay, for example. And I know some people might hate me for this. I don't care about Diablo's story in the slightest. I played Diablo with Ballistic Phoenix and my roommates back in college. And none of us really cared about it besides Ballistic Phoenix. He was all about it. Like, he was like, yeah, dude, Decker just did this thing, and now this guy. And I remember some of it. Like, I remember Decker King, and I know Diablo, and, like, what happened to some degree. But, like, I don't really care. It was all about the loot. It was all about stat building, and it was fun. Like,
that's what it was. I didn't play Diablo because I never had it, but Path of Exile is a free-to-play game, which is very similar.
Yeah.
I don't care about the story.
Yeah.
I just want to make the craziest build and, like, do tons of damage.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ballistic Phoenix plays that too. Path of Exile says the same exact thing. It's all about, like, building your stats out and collecting all this stuff, but not the case in Moonhunters. Because it's so short, and you have to make these decisions. You don't make decisions in Diablo, but in this game, like, you're, like, constantly kind of trying to figure things out. And if you don't care about the story, like, don't buy the game. Because, like, otherwise you're not going to really enjoy it much. You might as well buy, like, the $15 Diablo. I believe that the price, I bought it on sale, so I probably bought it for, like, $10 or $7. But I can't imagine it being more than $20. And I wouldn't buy it for $20 unless, like, you've got friends to play with. And, like, like, if you have 4 people to play with, totally worth, like, $20. Like, it's not like if your guys are going to order a pizza, order this game instead. Like, but if it's on sale and it's, like, $15, $10,
actually,
totally.
If you're going to order a pizza, get Stickball instead.
True. What? But that's different game. Like if you're interested in Stickball, if you're interested in that kind of game, which we'll do a review on soon, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, so Moonhunters I definitely think is worth it if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. Cons. I'll start off with some cons. Frame rate. The frame rate usually is fine, and then randomly it'll just like stutter. Mm-hmm. And like unless like you can get over it, like it's fine. Like I don't know, we got over it pretty quickly. But I don't know. It gets kind of annoying. The more players on the screen, the worse it is.
It's not choppy as in you will die because an enemy will be attacking you. It's just choppy as in nothing's happening.
Yeah,
and it's just really annoying.
Like it just stops. It's not even like I guess that frame rate. It just stops. Like we'll be like so the frames just stop completely. So it's weird because like when it was 3 of us playing. Me, Anthony, and Vampire Peaches, it was bad. Like every couple minutes, it would just be like, Yeah, especially like when enemies will come in and attack you, and we're like, all right, guys, group up and let's keep trying to attack. It's fine, and it gets really annoying because you have the position and things like that. So that's annoying. But again, when it was two of us, it wasn't nearly as bad. I only really remember 2 or 3 stutters. Yeah. But it is definitely annoying comparatively to other games that are out right now. Another thing that I kind of just bothered me was the control scheme. Like, for example, you can aim with the right stick. Oh, yeah. But like, if you aim with the right stick, your abilities are on the face buttons.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Like, and R2 and R1 aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
So like, why didn't they just map your main attack to R1 or R2 and map your secondary or your movement to R1? I didn't understand that.
I don't think you can change it, can you?
Nope. You can't change it. So the only thing you could change it to is if you went into PlayStation's menu and then like changed like PlayStation's controls, and like that's not worth it. So I think that was kind of the one of the biggest things for me is just like it was what was the point of this? Was like, why doesn't this exist? Definitely not a con in terms of like you shouldn't buy the game. It's just something that if you play it, that you might be like, yeah, this is really annoying. Why does this exist? Especially for mages. Like the majority of the characters are like have some sort of
because you just aim with left stick, which means when you're not attacking, you're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're aiming in that direction.
Which is annoying even for like melee guys. You're playing as the shapeshifter, and like you have to like attack wherever you're looking, and like it makes it really annoying. So that would be cool if they changed that. And the last thing I think for me is the procedural generation can sometimes be a bother because you're not really sure what's going on. So like we're like, okay, this time let's try this, but then it'll never happen because like we can't get to that.
One time I was tripped by a rock, which is an event that can happen. And it was like, oh, someone more vengeful could, like, I don't know, go and kick the rock or something. But I wasn't vengeful, so I couldn't do anything. And it was just like, oh, okay, on the way we go. Right. And in another game, I was vengeful.
Purposefully.
And never saw, like, a rock, never had someone, like, get angry at me or, like, punch me or something and that I would be vengeful towards it. It just meant nothing, you know?
Yeah, so it's, like, kind of bothersome. Like, even, like, this last gameplay we just played that you guys were watching, we were sitting there and we were like, all right, like, let's try, like, to be, like, wise. And wise is, like, an attribute that you can be, right? Like, I don't mean an attribute, but, it's like an attribute.
They're
personality
what
types,
you're known as.
traits.
Yeah, personality traits.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, I wanted to be wise as a trait and see what happens. But then, like, things would happen, I'd automatically become this or that, and then, like, I would make a decision, and then I'd become foolish instead, and I'd be like, but I didn't mean for that to happen, but, you know, it is intriguing still. So I think, there's a mix, you know, there's a push and pull there. It's like, this is bothering me, but I'm intrigued enough to keep trying. Like, I'm assuming...
I think it could be frustrating if you coincidentally don't get, like, you get all of the wrong traits with what events that you're going to have. Yeah. That could definitely get annoying.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's procedural, it's not random. So, like, I'm sure there's something that states, like, if you get this, then this will appear. And we played 5 times now? We played about 5 times, maybe 4. And, like, we keep running into new things. So, like, you know, like, we
definitely, even just in this one run, we went to at least 2 different places where different stuff...
Unlocked something new, so...
Yeah. So 3 different places.
Yeah. So what about cons for you?
Kind of the same thing with the events, which are kind of story, kind of side, but like they're supposed to be interesting, you know. But you have the situations where nothing happens, where you'll walk up to a pond and it'll say someone more patient could do something with this. Okay, well I'm not patient.
Right.
And. Yeah, I'm going to repeat the same thing with the controls. And just kind of... with the story, I wish there was... I don't know if I wish there was more to know, like a guide. Not a guide, but if it made more sense.
Yeah, I think they don't give you enough lore.
I feel like maybe after like the 10th playthrough or the 20th playthrough, you'll have gotten... you'll understand all these things and how they connect, maybe.
Yeah.
But we just haven't gotten to that point.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of like, if I mean, I guess I'd say it's not for, if you're playing it for the gameplay or for the story, it's not instant gratification.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. You're gonna constantly be like the beginning and the end. Well, the beginning never changes, at least for us so far.
Yeah.
And so like we keep skipping that to get back to this point, to get back to like this one thing to see how the story will change. And then, like I said, there's definitely been interesting things. But like, for example, at the end of this, without spoilers, Anthony met someone and made a specific decision. And, like, there was no instant, like, oh, this has now changed the game.
Oh, and I mean,
like,
I don't think anything even did happen.
Yeah, right.
Like, there was no indicator in the game that, this decision was made, and therefore it's going to have a ripple effect that didn't do anything at all.
Yeah. So, I think it's cool. I would say...
It's still cool, yeah.
Yeah. So, overall, what do you think?
I'm not really one to give number ratings because I've never done
You don't
that.
have to. Usually, Vampire Peaches and I will do like, is it worth? Like, how much money is it worth? Or is it worth? Who is it worth purchasing? Like, who should buy this game? That kind of stuff.
Someone who doesn't mind an obscure storyline, and I'd say maybe $15 max.
Yeah, no, I agree with
About
that. I agree with that. I think this is a good like. Hey guys, want to come over and play a game? Sure, let's go ahead and
cheap indie game.
Yeah, and it is. To give you guys
literally is, right?
Yeah, a little bit of background. I believe that this was a Square Enix collective initiative where an indie team got together, created this game. I even think it was on Kickstarter, and then Square Enix backed some of it, and they have a collective where they basically take a look at all these games that kind of align with their mission, which is to make awesome RPGs. And then basically, help fund it, and it came out. And so I think that, $15, maximum.
Yeah.
I would say that, like, if you've got 4 people who are all willing to pony up $5, go for the, if it's $20.
Yeah.
But it will go on sale.
It is definitely worth a sleepover or just hanging out for a night with people.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. With the last couple minutes that we have here, I don't want to spend a full 20 minutes with this, but the last thing I would want to say about this game is if there were future updates or if a second game would come out, which I would warrant. Like, I totally think that if this company, I don't actually know, apologize who the developer is. But if the devs, were like, all right, let's make a second game, or even if they make a second RPG, the things to learn from this game and what I would love to see in a second one would be definitely less procedural and more linearity.
I don't know about less for the story, definitely, but in terms of procedural, more variety with the procedural genre.
So personally,
yeah,
I'm okay with how the procedural gameplay is. I don't like how the story, I can't go and figure things out.
Yeah,
it's like if Skyrim kept changing every time I tried to go somewhere and learn about something. They're not letting me engage sometimes, and that kind of bothers me. But honestly, the game's fun. Polish it, add more
characters. Add more playable characters. That would be awesome. Or add more characters that have significance in the story, because it feels like a good amount of them don't really have any significance at all. You'll just see that character once or twice, and they'll might have a few interactions, but it doesn't really matter in the whole.
Yeah.
Maybe add more actual interaction with people. Yeah.
Yeah. But I really like the game. I think the game is awesome. It's a lot of fun. Again, we've literally been playing it. Probably we'll jump back in later tonight because we'd like to see where things go. The only thing I'm concerned about is not sure how far we'll get because of if we keep trying and we can't figure it out. No one has figured it. It doesn't seem like the internet has figured it out either. I just think the game hasn't gone far enough. Not enough people have bought it. But I'll definitely be looking it up. So, all right. I don't want this video to go too long. It did hit the 20-minute mark. That's okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like it. If you don't, dislike it. But let me know why in the comment section below. Also, share, subscribe, all that good deliciousness. Chaingear Gaming, making awesome content for the squad out there. And hope to see you guys online when the patch drops. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot, guys.